Why should you go to heaven? I've asked many people that question. The number one answer I get is this: I'm a good person. I remind them about what Jesus said. Jesus, who cannot lie, said, no one is good except God. And based on your answer, now two people are good in the universe, God and you. They start to see that not only is that not the right answer, but the futility of that answer. Welcome to the 260 journey. God the Father didn't send his only son to suffer horrifically on the cross so that we can do our best to get to heaven. That doesn't even make sense. That to me would be the worst case of child abuse in human history. God sending his son to die, but it still means that you have to do your best so God will want you to live with him in heaven. The cross means more than that. Jesus did not die to get you to church. Jesus died so you'd go to heaven. We have no way to get to heaven on our own. We need help. We need a miracle, and we need a new covenant. The old covenant put me in the driver's seat to do my best, and the Old Testament revealed that even at my best, it can't get me to heaven. Hebrews 8 is the help and the miracle. It's the new covenant. Listen to what the writer says about it and then gives us the power of it. This is Hebrews 8:6. But now Jesus, the Messiah, has accepted a priestly ministry which far surpasses theirs, since he is the catalyst of a better covenant, which contains far more wonderful promises. What is the far more wonderful promises of the new covenant? What makes this so different? It's what comes next. Two words are said over and over again that gives hope and help. What follows, verse 6, reveals the heart of God and why it's wonderful. 7 times after that verse, God says, I will. The new covenant is all God, not us. Whereas the old covenant was man trying to do better, the new covenant is God saying, you can't, but I will. We live in a culture that embraces the I will get better, I will get this right, I will be a success, I will be rich, I will get to heaven. If you answer the question, how do I get to heaven, with something you do, then the I of the I will is you. You can't be the I of the I will. The I is the Son of God. It's what he has done for us in the new covenant. Martin Luther so powerfully reminds us this when he said, what makes you think that God is more pleased with your good deeds than he is with his blessed Son? What follows the statement of far more wonderful promises in Hebrews is this. Verse 6, I will make a new covenant. Verse 9, this is the covenant I will make. Verse 10, I will put my laws in their minds. Verse 10 again, I will write them on their hearts. I will be their God. And then verse 12, I will forgive their wickedness. And again in verse 12, I will remind their sins no more. 7 times God says, I will. That is wonderful. The new covenant is what God does for me, not what I do for God. Another word for you being in the I will, is called legalism. You're working to make God like you and to bring you to heaven. Legalism eliminates God's involvement in our life and puts it all on us. Legalism says that God will really love us if we can change. One person said legalism doesn't make people work harder, it makes people give up. That's what God says. This is when God says, I have a better covenant for you. Christian writer and mystic Watchman Nee tells of an amazing incident that he personally saw of a man drowning. He said that he was with some other Christians and they went for a daily swim in the river. And on one occasion, one of the men got a cramp in his leg and began sinking fast. Mr. Nee motioned to one of the other men, who was an excellent swimmer, about the drowning man. To his astonishment, the man didn't move. He stood there and watched the drowning man. Mr. Nee said, I became agitated, but the swimmer was calm and collected. Meanwhile, the voice of the drowning man was growing fainter and more desperate. And as the drowning man went under for what looked like the last time, that's when the swimmer jumped in and were both saved and on shore. After the scene and rescue, Mr. Nee said that he rebuked the swimmer, accusing him of loving his life too much and being selfish. The response of the swimmer revealed, however, he knew exactly what he was doing. He told Watchman Nee that if he had gone in too soon, the drowning man would have put the death grip on him and they would have both drowned in the river. And he was right. He told Mr. Nee that a drowning man cannot be saved until he is utterly exhausted and ceases to make the slightest effort to save himself. Such is the case with our salvation. When we stop trying to save ourselves, then the Lord can step in and save us when we yield to him. I was recently reading Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. It's even better this last time I read it. C.S. Lewis reminded me of the greatness of salvation, of the I will. Digest these words from Mere Christianity. Christ offers something for nothing. He even offers everything for nothing. In a sense, the whole Christian life consists in accepting that remarkable offer. But the difficulty of all this is reaching the point of recognizing that all we have done and can do is nothing. That's the new covenant, and this is the 260 journey.